Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be determining the amplitude, period, phase shift, and midline of each of these functions. So let's start with the very first one, and since this is sine, we are going to be finding the amplitude. So let's do the amplitude, and I spelled amplitude wrong. Okay, we're also going to be finding the period, the phase shift, and the midline. Okay, so let's start with the amplitude, and the amplitude is just going to be the number out in the front, but we're only saying how far is it going up and down. So we can't say, oh, it's going up -2. That doesn't exactly make sense. So what we're going to say instead is the amplitude is 2. It's just going up 2 and down 2. So that is there. And like I said, it's only going to be the positive of that number, so make sure that you do not write negative on it. All right, the period. The period is going to be 2 pi over b. And b is the number that is in front of x. So the number in front of x here is 4. So we're going to make the period 2 pi over 4. 2 pi over 4. And we're just going to reduce this. So 2 over 4 is equal to 1/2. So this is 1 pi over 2, which reduces to pi over 2. All right, now let's talk about the phase shift. So the phase shift is negative c over b. The c value is the one right here, and b is the number in front of x. So we're going to do negative pi divided by 4. Okay, negative pi divided by 4. And that actually doesn't reduce, so we're just going to leave that as negative pi divided by 4. Then with the midline, it's just going to be y equals d, so y equals the number on the end. And the number on the end is -1, so that means that our midline is -1. Y equals -1. Okay, so let's go look at the second one. All right, the second one here. Okay, let's start with the amplitude since we're looking at a sine function. And then we're going to find the period, the phase shift, and the midline. All right, let's start with the amplitude. Again, the amplitude can only be a positive number. So even though this says -4, we're just going to use the positive 4 here. So the amplitude is 4. The period is going to be 2 pi divided by the number in front of x. So the number in front of x, or theta, here is 2/3. So we're going to do 2 pi divided by 2/3. 2 pi divided by 2/3. We're going to rewrite 2 pi as 2 pi over 1. And now we're going to keep change flips. So 2 pi over 1 times 3/2. We have a 2 in the numerator and the denominator, so those are going to go away. And anything divided by 1 is itself, so this is going to give us pi times 3, which is just 3 pi. All right, so now let's look at the phase shift. The phase shift is negative c over b. So this is going to be negative this number, so instead of negative pi over 3, it's going to be positive pi over 3 divided by 2/3. So it's going to be pi over 3 divided by 2/3. We're going to keep change flip again, so keep this one, change of multiplication, flip this one. Okay, and we do have a 3 in the numerator and the denominator, so those are going to cancel out, and we're going to get pi divided by 2. All right, and for the midline, this is just going to be the number on the end, but here there is no number on the end. It's just +0. So that means that our midline is going to be y equals 0. Okay, so let's look at our next one, and this one is cosine, so we are going to use the amplitude. So amplitude, period, phase shift, which I'm just going to write PS, and midline. All right, amplitude. There is no number in front of cosine, or so you think. Everything can have the number 1 in front of it. So there actually is an amplitude, and it's going to be an amplitude of 1. All right, so amplitude is 1. Period is going to be 2 pi divided by the number in front of x, or theta. So the number in front of x, or theta, here is 2 pi. So we're going to do 2 pi divided by 2 pi. And anything divided by itself is 1. So our period here is going to be 1. Then for the phase shift, this is going to be negative c divided by b. So we're going to do negative pi over 2, which is pi over 2 divided by 2 pi. And we're going to write this as 2 pi over 1. So now we're going to keep change flip. Keep change multiplication and flip. All right, we have a pi in the numerator and the denominator, so those are going to cancel out. And we're going to get 1 divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. So this is going to be 1, 4. All right, and the midline is y equals the number on the end, so this is going to be y equals 4 fifths. Okay, for problem number 4, this is working with secant, and they don't really have midlines or amplitudes, so we're only going to focus on the period and the phase shift for these. So the period and the phase shift. Okay, so let's look at the period first, and it's going to be 2 pi divided by the number in front of x. So the number in front of x here is negative 2, so this is going to be 2 pi divided by negative 2. 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1, so we're going to just get negative pi. All right, now for the phase shift, this is going to be negative c divided by b, and it's a little bit weird. The b is the one that's in front of x, so it's going to be negative pi divided by negative 2. And negative divided by negative is positive, so this is really just pi over 2. Okay, so let's go look at the next one, problem number 5, and this is cotangent, so we're not going to worry about the amplitude or the midline. So let's just look at the period and the phase shift. Okay, the period is 2 pi divided by the number in front of x or theta, and the number in front of x or theta is 3, so our period is just going to be 2 pi divided by 3. Since 2 and 3 don't reduce, we literally just leave that as 2 pi divided by 3, and that is our period. For the phase shift, we're going to do negative c divided by b. Our c value is negative 4/7, so it's going to be positive 4/7 divided by our b, which is 3. So we're going to write this as 3 over 1. We're going to keep, change, flip, and we're just going to multiply straight across. 4 times 1 is 4. 7 times 3 is 21. So our phase shift is 4 divided by 21. Okay, so let's look at our problem number 6, and then we'll talk about left and right with phase shifts. So number 6 is cosecant, so we're not going to worry about amplitude or anything like that. We are going to worry about the period and the phase shift. Okay, so the period is 2 pi divided by the number in front of x, and the number in front of x it's actually being divided by 3. However, we need to look at what is that being multiplied by. So this is actually being multiplied by 1 divided by 3. So there's actually a 1 in front of the x. So it's going to be 2 pi divided by 1/3. So we're going to keep change flip. Let's write this as 2 pi over 1. So we're going to keep the 2 pi over 1, change the multiplication, and then flip. So times 3 over 1. 2 times 3 is 6, so we're just going to end up with 6 pi divided by 1, which is just 6 pi. All right, for the phase shift, we're going to do negative c divided by b. But there is no c value, so this is going to be plus 0 inside of here. So we're going to do negative 0 divided by 1/3. But 0 divided by anything is 0, so we're just going to get a phase shift of 0. Okay, with the phase shifts, since this says positive, that means they're going to move left. And you can see the phase shift is negative. So whenever you're looking at the phase shift, it literally is left and right. So if it's negative pi over 4, this means you're going to go left pi over 4. Left pi over 4. All right, same thing here. So the phase shift is positive pi over 2. So this is right pi over 2. Okay, this one is 1/4. So you're going to go right 1/4. And this one is pi over 2, so that's going to be right pi over 2. And this one is 4 over 21, so that's going to be right 4 over 21. And then the very last one, the phase shift is 0, so you're not going to go left or right. But just remember that whenever you're looking at actual transformations of functions, if there's a negative inside of the parentheses, that means go right. And it's the same thing here. So negative inside, that means right, negative, right. But you can just look at the phase shift value and say, is that positive or negative? Right is positive, left is negative. All right, hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.